wife at the time, I say wife at the time, typical policeman. My wife at the time was American, and she was from Michigan, and I'd spent lots of time in Michigan on while I'd been in college and university, and then I'd got to know some people in Michigan, and I wanted to carry on my education. I love learning. I enjoy the law. I found that was a real passion of mine. I didn't do great in university because I'm definitely someone that will skate by. I'll get to if it's something that doesn't interest me,
Yeah.
I'll do just what I have to do to get by, and whatever interests me, I will excel at. And I was really passionate about labour law. I had oddly, being a policeman, the only contact I'd had with labour law was the miners' strike. And my grandfather was very a northerner. My dad's dad, he was from Hartlepool area. His family were miners, and so there was a lot of family discussion about which way the miners' strike was going. And I really got interested in the history of trade unions, and in America, the unions are very, very different. So my intent was to go back to college, do a master's, do my LLM, and maybe focus on labour law. And that was my initial intent. So I ended up coming over to the States, left the job with a full intent of going back to school, and that never happened. And unfortunately, I'm glad it didn't happen because it gave me a year to really reset my brain. I took all these different jobs, part-time jobs. I worked in a department store selling ties. I worked as a bartender. I worked as a bouncer, little 11-stone me. But my police training, unarmed police officer training came in so handy that I made a little business out of being a doorman bouncer at a bar, and then I taught other barmen and the bouncers how to extract people from bars and how to deal with people in violent situations. And I never realized I was an expert until you suddenly go out and think, oh God, all those pubs fights that we had in Southend taught you a lot.
Mm.
And so I did that for a while, and the department store where I was selling ties, I'd lied. I'd given them my CV, and I'd kind of cut out a load of stuff. I just wanted a job for the holidays, for the Christmas time, because I found out you got a 25% discount for being an employee. So, and I wanted to buy some suits and stuff, and I thought, well, I can work for this department store and get me a discount. Anyway, at the end of the Christmas time, they called me in and said, "Hey, what are you going to do now?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm still looking around. I haven't decided what I'm going to do." And I'd had a job set up, a real grown-up job set up, which hadn't really panned out. And so the lady said to me, "We have an opening in human resources." And I'd been applying for human resource positions, but I hadn't got the background for that because I wanted to get into labour. I wanted to work in labour and work with unions. And I just, all the stars and the cards aligned because this company that I was working for as a tie salesman, the company was called Dayton, Hudson and Marshall Fields, which was a large department store. And when I say department store, it wasn't like Keddies or Debenhams. The store that I was at, there was 950 employees.
And where was this at the time? What?
This was in Michigan, just outside Detroit.
Right.
And she said, "We have an opening for a human resources person." And I said, "Yeah, I'll take it." And it was basically just employment. I was screening applicants to be perfume sellers, and can you squirt your perfume on people as they walk through the door? And then that 3-4 months into that role, it was horrible. It was boring. I was not enjoying it. And all of a sudden, the United Auto Workers showed up at the store and started this process of trying to unionize the department store. And I said to the boss there, I said, you know, I'll tell you why they're going to be successful. And you know, he said, "Tell me why, young man." You know, and I said, because your people are not being led, and they're crying out for leadership. And if there's a gap in the leadership, then the union are going to fill that gap, and they're going to lead your people. He said, "Write something up," and that was it. And I got promoted to regional. What was it? I think it was called a district manager for human resources and labour relations. And I went from my little cupboard where I was working to have an office with a window. And we got I went through a couple of union campaigns in the Detroit area. That settled down. They wanted to keep me with the company, so they moved me to Florida, where I was in charge of human resources for another branch of the company. And so I think when I look at my CV, I'm a 5-year block person. So
Right, yeah.
I had my 5 years as Constable, 5 as a sergeant, 5 as an inspector, basically. And then I was starting my 5-year with this one company. So I came down to Florida. We had the best, you know, but by that time I was with my current wife, so it's 30 something years.
Do you call her that to keep her on her toes? I'll edit that bit out.
Yeah, thanks. No. I definitely, I use that a lot. And so my current wife, my most successful wife, the 30, I think we've been together now 32 years. We came down here, and our first daughter was on the way. And I have a son from my previous marriage who's in his 40s now. I love saying it. My son's in his 40s. Feel kind of grown up. But he came down here, and we had a flat on the beach. You know, literally a condo on the beach.
Where did you go? Where in Florida?
It was Stewart, Florida, which is down just on the East Coast, on the Atlantic side.
Right.
I'd never really been to Florida. I don't think I'd been to Florida prior to moving down. I've been here on business trips, but I'd never spent any time in Florida. So we found this great flat on the beach. And then my eldest daughter was on the way. Was down here for only 9 months, and the company then said, "You wrote the paper on unions and the management paper on unions. What would you be like at writing a personnel manual?" So I'm like, I've never done it, but how hard can it be? Yeah, I'll do it. And there was a comedy show I saw with a girl who said whenever she was asked anything, "Yeah, I can do that."
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
And so the next thing, you know, my wife, God bless her, she is such an adventurer. She said, I get home from work and I said, "Oh, I've been promoted." And she said, "Oh, great, that was quick. Now, what are you going to do?" So I said, "Well, I'm going to be the policy consultant for this branch of stores." And so she said, "Oh, great." I said, "Yeah, but we have to move to San Francisco." So basically, in a couple of weeks' time, the trucks arrived. They packed up my classic. We had an old classic 1960 Corvair, that 65 Corvair convertible. They put that into the back of a moving van, dripped oil all over the stuff underneath, and we shot off with my daughter and my wife to San Francisco, and we actually lived in the suburbs in Fremont. And my office was in Hayward, California, and we were there for I would think I'm trying to think. We weren't there for a year. before the union started again up in Detroit. And I went home from work one day and